Time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
Remember these names: AZ Fudd, Olivia Miles, Lauren Betts. Depending on who wins that lottery, that's going to depend on who goes one. If Washington wins, it's Fudd. She's from the area. If Dallas wins, they're going to bring Fudd to play with obviously Paige. If Minnesota wins, I think they go Miles with the point. If Seattle wins, they go with Miles, and the same thing with Chicago.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I was looking at through my phone at first. I'm like, why is there such a delay? And why are we getting pitch hitters right away? Oh, the pitcher got thrown out for some reason. Maybe he hurt himself. But no, turning out and seeing a brawl was absolutely hilarious to let that one play out. Just the way it is sometimes in baseball. We don't get a lot of good fights and a lot of good brawls and anger, specifically from two teams that aren't going to the playoffs. So good on them for showing that moxie last time. But it's good to see a little bit of a brawl and a little bit of that passion here.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
If a game is on the line,
give me the Navy kicker.
Oh,
the guy's going into battle in 2 weeks. He can't make an extra point. Come on.
From a mindset perspective, yeah. I'm not. Listen, we thanked them for their service. I love them. Okay.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if you have a bet and you have an academy kicker with a field goal or an extra point, you got to hold your breath.
27 yards. You know,
27 yards. The kid shanked it from like 30.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Time to rise and grind on the early line. Why? Because it is a Football Friday on the Sports Grid Network. My goodness, do we have an action-packed show for you. Our goal, as usual, over the next 2 hours is to carry you for what's going to happen on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and at the same time, look back to what actually happened on Thursday night in the activities of the NFL, the WNBA, and also some Major League Baseball. Donnie writes out along with Joe Ranieri, and we got you. We're here. We made it. Happy Friday. Let's get the party started, Joe.
I can't wait, Donnie, off the heels of another sweep, I believe, yesterday on our best bets here on the show. But that's neither here nor there. We are good to go and ready to make it a heck of a profitable way to end the week here, I think, on this Friday.
2 money lines yesterday. The New York Metropolitans with the easy victory in the afternoon. And then once you got to dinner time, Joe said, you know what? We're going to serve up a little Reds and Hunter Green. Yeah, how about a complete game shutout victory for the Reds, 1-0. A 2-0 sweep. And correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, back-to-back 2-0 sweeps as we push our chips into Friday, which is always payday around these parts. Let's not waste any more time. Exciting topics here. The 7-7, the hottest sports topics across the landscape, which includes last night's Thursday night football game. The line, 11.5 to 12.5. The total, 49.5 to 50.5. The final score, Buffalo 31, the Miami Dolphins 21 in a game that was tied up late in the fourth quarter. We're trying to tie it, I should say, too. Come on, man. The interceptions, it never gets away. The 0-3 Miami Dolphins show.
And it's funny you say that, Donnie, because I was talking to one of my friends who works at a book in Las Vegas, and he was saying that the amount of money coming in on Tua to throw an interception was over the top, had gotten juiced all the way up to about minus 160, 165. I mean, that's a pretty big number for a quarterback to throw an INT. And boy, oh boy, with 3 minutes left, driving right around the 20-some-odd yard line of Buffalo in the fourth quarter with an opportunity to get it done. No, Tua go ahead and throws that interception, trying to get it to Waddle, and that was all she wrote for the Dolphins. But I guess the good news is the effort was there, improvement was there. So maybe, just maybe, McDaniel and company have staved off the firing for at least another week or two.
Yeah, we'll get into this game so much more in the next segment here. But what that means, again, as Joe's pointing out for the Miami Dolphins at 0-3. Season's over at this point, but the Buffalo Bills 3-0. Super Bowl aspirations. A great performance by Josh Allen. Very efficient on offense as they played 31 runs. Talking about Major League Baseball. 31 points yesterday in a 31-21 victory here. Tucker Kraft, Green Bay Packers, a little bit of a scare. You never want to get injured. And boy, oh boy, like adding, insult to injury, getting injured in practice seems to be okay. They'll work him out today, but expectations were that he plays this weekend as well. But Tucker Kraft avoids a serious injury, it looks like.
Yeah, and that's fingers crossed here because he has not missed a game in over 2+ seasons here, Donnie. So that would be really a big loss for them if he is unable or can't or has to miss some time. But I think he leads the team with 8 receptions, 140 yards, and 2 TDs. He's a big part of that passing attack, so let's hope he's on the field here for him against the Browns.
Foot and toe injuries here for Brock Purdy, but making some pretty good headway, I should say, right here. Limited practices this week, on track to possibly play this weekend on Sunday. Brock Purdy would love to be back under center there for the 49ers.
Yes, and I think he's going to. All indications are that he is headed that way and trending that way, although I'm not quite sure it's going to matter whether it's Mac Jones or it's Brock Purdy, given the fact that not one, not two, but 3 of the starting defensive backs for Arizona are all missing this game because of injuries, Donnie.
Let's keep it moving here and get to the NFL because sometimes the NFL is having some issues, and this one is not actually off the field. Like, hey, you got to suspend somebody. You might have to suspend some referees. Keeping an eye on the tush-push with false starts. I understand the narrative. Everybody can do this play. The Philadelphia Eagles are the only ones that can execute it. So there's a lot of error around the NFL. Like, this isn't fair. Yeah, it's fair. Everybody can do it. It's like saying, okay, Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh, you can't play in the playoffs because not everybody can hit close to 50 home runs. It's not fair you have that advantage. But also understand this. Those players can strike out if you throw good pitches. Hence, in the NFL, if the Eagles false start, call it. If the defensive line lines up in the neutral zone, call it. Why is this so hard? Pass interference. If it's a pass interference call, we call it, Joe. If there's a holding call where defensive end's trying to make a sack on a quarterback and he gets held, just call it. This isn't eye-opening information where it's like, hey, man, this is a hard play. Look, false start, call it. Offside, call it. What's the problem here?
Well, the problem is there's been a lot of noise made about it, and there's been a whole lot of slowing down of the videotape and saying, look, everyone's jumping offside. So we see this every year with the NFL on something. There will be a lot of noise on something to do inside the game, and the NFL always comes out and goes, well, we're letting the refs know we're going to keep an eye on it. Well, since they're the only team that can actually execute it at a consistent level, Tony, they're basically saying every Philadelphia Eagle game, we're going to keep an eye on here moving forward.
Yeah, it should be interesting to watch it play out specifically this weekend because, once again, no Eagles fan or Eagles player is going to get upset if they false start. That's a penalty. They understand that. Same thing with the defense. If you just legislate the play correctly here, you will have a football play just like any other football play. But it seems like the NFL is trying to build this counter-terrorism, suit of, we can't officiate it, and it's a dangerous play. Let's look back at the injuries. Nobody gets injured on this play ever in this play. Right. So I look forward to seeing it this weekend where it's almost like automatic. They're going to call the Eagles for a penalty for something they probably didn't even do just to make sure that, hey, we're calling it tightly at this point. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But we'll find out in a big game at 1 o'clock on Sunday in Philadelphia. The Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll preview that game a little bit later in the show. Also, let's keep it moving. The ACC. Here's what I like, Joe. You know me. I like to be commissioner of just about every sport. And the ACC is eyeing 10 Power 4 games in their new schedule format. I love this. I've been a proponent that says we're not 1940s, 50s, 60s, or 70s. We don't have to have 3 games a year against directional schools that we blow out. Looking directly at you, Penn State, and just play teams that at least your fan base can show them like, hey, it's a Division I game. We should have a good time here. Not, do we leave it half because this game absolutely stinks? Good on the ACC. Play better football teams, and people will enjoy that much more, Joe.
All right, and maybe, Donnie, just maybe by doing that, maybe the media rights to the ACC become a little bit more valuable. Interesting concept, ACC. Nobody wants to see a beat-up Bethune-Cookman on a consistent basis for the first 3 weeks of the season. So maybe, just maybe, there's money behind this actual ruling here.
Exactly. You think Alabama on a roll to a national championship always enjoys that game against Citadel in November before they play the Iron Bowl? Like, nobody wants that anymore. Just play good competition on a week-to-week basis. Stop with these payouts and paydays and easy victories that nobody wants to see outside the coach and the AD because it's another win in their column. The Los Angeles Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw, one of the best pitchers we've ever seen here, Joe, going to retire at the end of the season. The time has come.
Yeah, it is, and he will. I mean, it's a great story. One of the greatest pitchers to ever take the mound in Major League Baseball. One of the best in the generation. I mean, my goodness, this guy has been at the top for a long, long time. The fact that even at the end of his career, Donnie, over the last 4 or 5 seasons, the amount of injuries, and the fact that he always manages to show up and finally got past that. You can't win a game in the postseason when it matters routine. He's going to go down as one of the best ever to play the game.
Absolutely here. And the WNBA apparently had games yesterday with the Indiana Fever winning without Caitlin Clark. But if I put the over-under, like we say, it's 11.5 in that football game last night. Was 11.5 people actually watch the WNBA? End the season. And again, make me commissioner. End the season in August. We'll enjoy it. Nobody cares about the WNBA in the month of September. Nobody. Not a soul.
The only people who were interested in that game are people that had money on the Indiana Fever last night, Donnie. That is it.
It's like the USFL and the XFL, like outside, like we don't want to watch bad products out here specifically when football, good football, is lining up against it here. WNBA ended on Labor Day. We will love it. We'll enjoy it even more. Nobody's watching right now. You know what they are watching? The early line. Come on back with us.
Credit to the Giants, who were so good in April and then since then just kind of fell apart. Now they're back in it again. I think the Mets will get in, but it is fascinating that they'll play the Marlins here the last 3 games of the season. And, I know without a doubt that the Marlins are going to line up Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez, and their top guys to try and beat the Mets.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
It is the biggest story in sports. It is the ability to predict outcomes in sports without calling it sports betting. But I guess Massachusetts doesn't like it very much, and they're saying basically you can't operate in our market without having a license like FanDuel and DraftKings, and they're coming at this company, Robinhood, who you may be familiar with. Robinhood right now says, hey, we should be able to operate just like these other companies.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
He says, you can't get in a position, Tiger, Rory, Justin Thomas, those guys are this tall. You're never gonna be as flexible as them. You got a lot more leverage and like you got a lot of more moving parts than those dudes.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
I like the shadows coming in, Neyland Stadium. Show me those 3:30. Back
we
in the
played
day,
all our games on Saturdays. Maybe one or two games on a Friday night away. I always loved that. Same thing in college. Hated Friday night football games in college.
I understand why they do it prime time and we have to play. But going back to when we grew up, Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
Action.
Throw another pancake on that plate. Yeah, let's go,
it.
Keith Jackson. That's my guy here.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Happy Football Friday to all who celebrate. It's the early line on the SportsGrid Network. It's Sonny Right Side. It's Joe Ranieri. We got you covered specifically from last night. It was a do-or-die situation for the Miami Dolphins. Well, basically, they died last night in a 31-21 loss to the Buffalo Bills. But the game started out. The Miami Dolphins took that opening kickoff, Joe, rammed it right down the Buffalo Bills' throat to take a 7-0 lead. Here they are. Let's fight back. and then the Buffalo Bills scored on the next 2 possessions to take the lead. Miami eventually tied it up at the half, and we had a close game entering into the fourth quarter, only to see what we usually see. Last week, was there a key interception by Tua Tagovailoa late in that game? Yes, there was. This week, was there a key interception by Tua Tagovailoa late in the game? Yes, there was. Tua threw for 146 yards. The Dolphins got beat. They're 0-3, and away you go. Focus on the Buffalo Bills. 3-0 season start. They were supposed to win last night. Caught some adversity, but Josh Allen, 22 of 28, Joe, 213, 3 touchdown passes, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 134.1. Tremendous night for Allen. The Bills win. They improved to 3-0.
But the Dolphins covered, so we're heading in the right direction here, Miami. Kudos, but, once again, Josh Allen is your daddy. There is no way around it. 3 touchdown passes, now 14-2 against Miami in his career. And the only other active quarterback that owns another team like that is Dak Prescott, who owns the Giants. He, too, is 14-2 against them. So 8-0 all-time on Thursday night, Josh Allen. That's the best by any quarterback for that day of the week since they've been playing on Thursdays. So, I mean, listen, it was a lot closer than a lot of people thought it was going to be, but ultimately it ended like all of these battles between Miami and Buffalo end with Buffalo on top and Miami going what could have been. Wasn't a blowout. But ultimately, when you needed a team or a player to make a big play in that game, Buffalo did. But I give credit to Miami. They certainly didn't quit like we had been hearing on Coach McDaniel. A lot of effort there last night. Just they were up against it on a short week and having to travel to Orchard Park.
Yeah, not a lot of offense for them last night. You take a look at the running game, which is actually quite good, Joe. 5.2 yards per carry. You would take that on a road game against the Buffalo Bills, but they were just underwhelming on big plays on offense. Tyreek Hill, 5 catches, 49 yards. Jalen Waddle, 5 catches, 39 yards. Those were the leaders there. You just needed a little bit more effort. But when we talk about effort on the season, Joe, like Miami opened up, if we go back like preseason-wise, not a lot of people had a lot of support for the Miami Dolphins, and rightfully so. But you could look at their schedule like, okay, they probably should beat Indy because we're talking about Daniel Jones, didn't know how they would appear. They got clobbered in that game. And then if you would have said before the season, hey, week number 2, you're at home against New England. That could be a 2-1 start, and then you're going to get beat by the Buffalo Bills. And I think most Dolphins fans go, oh, no, we lost the first 2 games. Like, I don't really think too many people thought they were going to pull the outright upset against the Buffalo Bills on that Thursday night. But they did play well, but it's one of those things where you have a chance to win. Hey, Tua, like you're not a rookie. You're not second year. You're not looking for your next big contract. You have it already. You throw that interception, and sometimes, Joe, it's, late in the game, he threw it up to make a play. It was 1-on-1. Boy, the DB made a great play on that. Joe, this was the linebacker sitting back going like, you're eyeing this guy. I'm just jumping this route. And you go, how did he throw that pass? You just can't have that at that moment, Joe.
Well, it's funny, too, because Bernard, after the game, had told a reporter that, kudos to my position coach because he had actually pointed out that very play on film that he said you needed to be aware of. So once they lined up, we saw exactly what they were going to do. He's like, and I jumped the route and voila. So that is not great when linebacking coaches on other teams are going, they're going to run this because, well, they're not even trying to disguise it. They're just trying to complete passes. And in that case, I mean, that was a huge prop. One of the most bet props of the night last night was him to throw an interception. And he did when it mattered the most in the game.
I'll tell you what, Joe, you look at that Buffalo Bills lineup, and like I joked yesterday, I had a very good prop day. Had 2 touchdown catches there for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but I really like Josh Allen to throw 2 touchdowns. First 2 drives, he handles that right away. He was phenomenal. But we're looking at a Buffalo Bills team that you can't just say, I'm going to stop one player. You want to level down on James Cook. They can pass the football. Josh Allen can run himself. You want to look at the tight end positions there. Dalton Kincaid, 5 for 66. Or maybe it's another week there we have Knox stepping up. They have multiple wide receivers that you don't need a true number 1. You get the football to the guy that's open. Like Allen only had 213 yards passing, but 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. James Cook looks like he's turning into a superstar right before our eyes. Incredible last week against the Jets. And then on Thursday night, just a few days later, 19 carries for 108 yards and a touchdown on a long run of 26 yards. But it just looks like they can beat you in any different way, Joe, where you can't just say, I'm taking away this wide receiver and you can't move the football. That's what's most impressive for me about the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, and that offense.
Well, yeah, and their ability to be able to run the ball and not just have to rely on Josh Allen. The tight ends, and we talked about it yesterday, Donnie, from a prop betting perspective, when it comes to Josh Allen and his, trio of tight ends, they are absolutely on the same page there. And we're talking shovel passes inside the red zone. How do you stop this team? If it's not Josh Allen taking it himself, it's the tight ends, it's Cook. They've got a lot of different ways to beat you, and they showed it again last night. But without a doubt, to me, it's the running game that has really elevated this Bills team and could be the difference from them actually getting to the Super Bowl this year as opposed to falling a little short once again.
ESPN Insights put out a tweet yesterday. Maybe it's James Franklin Jr. or James Franklin Light who's in the NFL. Since Mike McDaniel took over in 2022, Miami's 3-14 against teams that entered the game with winning records compared to 25-12 against teams entering the same game at 500 or worse. Being the bully, picking on the guy that can't compete, and then going up against the bully, you get bullied here. It's Miami. Look, the numbers don't lie, Joe. They don't.
No, congratulations. You beat up on the teams you're supposed to beat up on, but you haven't been able to get past the teams that actually have winning records. That's got to change, Donnie. If the Dolphins are going to be able to, get past this, that's got to change. So forget about postseason. Just try winning some games against teams that are better than 500 and show us you're heading in that direction.
Like maybe Mike McDaniel didn't get fired last night, but he knows at the end of the season, he will be let go as head coach of the Miami Dolphins. And that's going to be a tough task, knowing the players probably know that as well. Let's keep an eye on the Miami Dolphins over the next couple weeks. And let's keep an eye on Sunday NFL action next.
Credit to the Giants, who were so good in April, and then since then just kind of fell apart. Now they're back in it again. I know, and I think the Mets will get in. But it is fascinating that they'll play the Marlins here the last 3 games of the season. And, I know without a doubt that the Marlins are going to line up Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez, and top guys to try and beat the Mets.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
The biggest story in sports. It is the ability to predict outcomes in sports without calling it sports betting. But I guess Massachusetts doesn't like it very much, and they're saying basically you can't operate in our market without having a license like FanDuel and DraftKings. And they're coming at this company, Robinhood, who you may be familiar with. Robinhood right now says, hey, we should be able to operate just like these other companies.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
He says, you can't get in a position, Tiger, Rory, Justin Thomas, those guys are this tall. You're never gonna be as flexible as them. You got a lot more leverage and you got a lot of more moving parts than those dudes.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I like the shadows coming in, Neyland Stadium. Show me those 3:30. Back in the day,
we played all our games on Saturdays. Maybe one or two games on a Friday night away. I always loved that. Same thing in college. Hated Friday night football games in college.
I understand why they do it prime time and we have to play. But going back to when we grew up, Keith Jackson.
Yeah.
Action.
Throw another pancake on that plate. Yeah, let's go,
it.
Keith Jackson. That's my guy here.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I love the NFL. I love the SportsGrid Network. I love the early line. I love Joe Ranieri. I love my job. There's a lot to love. And why? Some of the vibes are so high, Joe, because it's a football Friday. You make it all week long. You watched football last night. Maybe you picked up some money, which I don't know. By the way, How did anybody lose money on that game last night? Can we start there? 31-21. Everybody loves overs. The game went over. You want multiple touchdown passes? You got 5 of them. You got the big players like, Cook getting in the end zone, Hill, Waddle. Like, you got everything you wanted last night in that 31-21 game, Joe. Should anybody have woke up like, oh, man, that game killed me last night. I gotta re-up at the book.
No, and Donnie, the best part was too. I mean, we had with Cam Stewart yesterday. We had said that Miami's got to be in this game early, otherwise it's not going to happen late. And sure enough, 20 points in the first half, good for that over there as well. So you had a little something for everyone last night in that Thursday night game. And usually they're not like that. Usually they're awful.
No. Exactly. Hey, high-scoring game Thursday night, 14-13 final. Ooh, that one hurt with multiple injuries. But even like the teaser crowd, no matter which way you did it last night, you're ringing the cash register, man. Good night for the public last night. Let's see if it continues on Sunday. And we're going to start in Minnesota. It's Cincinnati and it's Minnesota. We should get much different quarterback situation. If we got injuries, Joe Burrow's down for, 90 days. You take a look at J.J. McCarthy. He might be out as much as 4 to 6 weeks here, which now leaves us with Browning versus Wentz, but still a favorite for the Minnesota Vikings at -3, Joe, a total, which did come down from 47.5. Now was at 41.5. We're up to 42.5 here. We'll see if that changes by Sunday. Browning versus Wentz. Not what we expected, but it's what we're getting.
Yeah, no, it's not. And what are you going to get from Carson Wentz here? I mean, listen, if O'Donnell is actually the quarterback whisperer that everyone says he is, and, watching what Sam Darnold has been doing and what he did with him is, that he's legit, but he is going to have to pull something out of his hat here with Carson Wentz. Because I don't know. They lost Aaron Jones to a hamstring injury for the next couple of weeks. So the running game is going to be a little suspect. The offensive line was already suspect. They were hoping to get Darisaw back, but he's likely not going in this game. So I don't know what you're going to get offensively from them. I think we know what we're going to get with the Bengals because we have a backup quarterback that has been with the team for 4 years. He's been in that system. He's been with those players. A lot of familiarity, and that matters early on in the season in a spot like this on the road. To me, I'll take the 3 all day long because no way am I putting all of my eggs in that Carson Wentz basket thinking that he's going to come out firing. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I think you're right with that, too, because sometimes, you can equate it to any sport. Like, just because you have a bad defense, like Cincinnati doesn't have a great defense, you still need an offense that can exploit it. Is it just going to be Justin Jefferson, 11 catches for 172 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Wentz delivers the football? You're going to have more of a power run game as opposed to an explosive run game for Minnesota. But I'm with you. Browning's going to throw interceptions, but he's going to throw touchdowns as well. And if I'm just going to flip that coin and say, all right, well, Browning, I think, might be better at Wentz at this part of his career and a little bit more weapons on offense, I'll take the 3 points as well. And you're right about Darisaw. Here's the interesting part, Joe. Wednesday, he had a full practice. Thursday, he did not practice. I don't know if that's, let's see how the knee feels. So Friday practice reports. If you're new to the NFL, and I don't know why you are, the most key ingredient, you'll know exactly who's going to be going on Sunday today. So keep an eye on Darisaw out there as we go. Texans and the Jaguars in Jacksonville. A 1.5-point spread here is a favorite towards Jacksonville. I think that's light here. Houston, again, 0-2 desperately needs a victory. 44.5 is the total. 88 degrees, heat, sun, and mugginess in Jacksonville this weekend for the domed Houston Texans.
Yeah, if Houston can't run the ball, Houston becomes one-dimensional, and C.J. Stroud with that offensive line is in big trouble. So there has to be an effort by this Houston team to be able to move the chains and not try to be this quick. It can't just be C.J. Stroud and Collins. They have to be able to run the ball. And Jacksonville, they picked on not a great Bengals defense last week. But overall, Trevor Lawrence, again, this is a tough one. I think Houston's defense is better, and I give them the edge.
I'm going opposite of you, Joe, in this one. I'm going Jacksonville Jaguars. I like that offense. I just haven't seen enough scoring for Houston. Like, I think both of the defenses will be able to rush the quarterback. But when I look at Houston, it feels like it's just, Stroud and Nico and nothing else at this point. Now, keep an eye on Christian Kirk getting some practices in this week. That could change and really help that offense. But Jacksonville is elite on offense. You just can't make the bonehead play, man. Wake up, Trevor Lawrence. Just deliver this weekend, and let's get a victory. We'll see what happens there. More NFL talk and games next on the Early Line.
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I'm screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1 in a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell.
The cop out here is he stays healthy, it's yes, right? He'll do it. It's not asking a lot. Top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5. They've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8. But the 9 to 12, I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets. Right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. He can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. That should have been picked off there. It seems like he did complete work for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really as going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this if he stays healthy. Hell, just give me 15 games, and I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah. I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens. And look, I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
Donnie right side, Joe Ranieri here on a Football Friday, SportsGrid Network, The Early Line. The Doobie Brothers once wrote a song and sang it as What a Fool Believes Here. And this is why we bring up this next game. What do you believe and how do you bet this game? The Indianapolis Colts came into the season. I didn't have high expectations. They look like one of the best well-oiled offensive machines since we had the greatest show on turf in the Rams 20-plus years ago. They're taking on the Tennessee Titans, trying to find their way with Cam Ward at quarterback. The line opened up at 2.5. It now sits between 3.5 and 4.5, depending on where you're shopping at, in a total, Joe, of 43.5. Is it a mirage? Is it fool's gold? Or does Indy roll into Tennessee against an inferior team and put the hammer down on them as well? Or is it like, yep, that's the Daniel Jones I wanted to talk about because now they're on the road and not in the friendly confines at Lucas Oil Stadium. What are we feeling about this game? This is a tough one.
We're going to learn a lot, are we not, about this Indy team now? So out of the dome, Danny Dimes on the road, always interesting. And listen, I like what I have seen from this Tennessee team. This is a real defense, Donnie. That defense of Tennessee is actually pretty darn good, and they're tough, especially with Simmons up front there. So I think the Titans defense can certainly keep them in this game. It's going to be a work in process with Cam Ward, right? But the one thing that I love about him is that he doesn't throw the ball to the other team. The turnovers haven't been there like we've seen with, Will Levis over the last couple of years with the Tennessee Titans as a young quarterback. So, listen, I think Tennessee is live here. Do they win the game outright? I wouldn't go that far, but I think this game is going to be much closer in the fourth quarter than people think.
Yeah, that 4.5 is an interesting number because I don't know. And again, usually after 2 weeks, you know a lot about the football team. I do know they're competent. We're talking about the Colts, but now you go on the road against a team you're supposed to beat, right? As opposed to the first 2 weeks, like, ooh, I wonder if the Colts can win. No, the Colts are supposed to win here and how they perform in that spot. Doesn't it feel, Joe, like it lands right on the spread, 24-20, total and also side, where the game is in the balance in the fourth quarter. Now, understand this. If the Colts go on the road and win like 27-13, 27-14, you have to start believing in the Colts here because that just means they're a good football team, sound. They're beating the teams they're supposed to, and also with the ability to up their game. I'm interested to see how that one actually plays out. Game number 2 we're going to talk about in this segment. That's the Vegas Raiders and Geno Smith, who were terrible in primetime this week, going up against Washington. Hey, look, there's what? Well, who's actually going to be a quarterback? Who's going to start? Marcus Mariota, Jaden Daniels. We don't know, and that's why that spread is dropping. Opened up around a touchdown, Joe. Now we're seeing 3.5s across the board and a total of 48.5, dipping down to 44.5. What does this mean for the Washington spread? And also, Jaden Daniels, no practice Wednesday, no practice Thursday. The expectations are he's probably not going to play this weekend.
Yeah, I think you got a gift here if you can get 3 now, Donnie, with the Camaro. If he's ruled out, I think that's the number that you're looking for because Marcus Mariota has been there and more than capable of beating this Raiders secondary. Raiders on a short week as well there, Donnie, given the fact that they looked awful against the Chargers on Monday night. This is a lot of traveling for the Raiders on a short week, trying to fix what is some glaring holes on that side of the ball defensively there. I think the Commanders will use the ground game. I think that defense will bounce back, and I expect it to be a long afternoon and a value play. If Daniels is ruled out and Mariota's in there, it'll definitely be Commanders if I can get the 3.
There you go. Look at that. Lining it up here. By the way, 4 o'clock games, usually the biggest games of the week. I'm going to say, like, the best game of the week just might be a 1 o'clock game, and that's between the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles, a rematch of the divisional round last year in the snow that saw Saquon Barkley go nuts, and then also almost have a Philadelphia Eagles collapse late in that game, and Jalen Carter bails them out. Nobody decided to block him, got a sack, and they win the football game and then head into the NFC Championship game, and then, of course, into the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. This line, Joe, opens up at 4.5, dips down to 3.5, still as a favorite for the Philadelphia Eagles. The total, 45.5 at most outlets to open, now down to 44.5. Good weather expected in Philadelphia. The Rams looking for revenge. The Eagles yet to get on track on offense, but all they do is continue to win. Do they have enough juice in the tank to beat those Rams? Or are the Rams going to say, no, all that hype before the season is real. We're the team to beat in the NFC.
Yeah, you are, but this is a tough matchup here for both these teams. Both defenses, elite as far as I'm concerned here. Both of these teams showed you what they're capable of last year in the postseason, Donnie, in a game where you just couldn't count out Stafford and this Rams team, but they grew up a lot, that young defense on the Rams side. Going on the road, I'm sure this game means a lot more to the Rams guys than it does the Eagles. Sure, the Eagles want to win, but here they are again, won the first couple of games. The offense doesn't look like it's humming along right now for the Eagles. So I think the under is the best way to go. I agree with the market move, pushing it down from 45.5. I think the defense has come out to play in this one. And I think, I think points are going to be hard to come by, just like they were last week at Arrowhead for the Eagles.
I'm going opposite on that for you, Joe, because I do think that you're right about one thing. Both of these defenses are coming in really good. And if you look at the final scores of some of these early games with both of these teams, you're like, you know what? I can see this game 24-21-ish, which would still get you to the over. But I just think the Eagles are due for a bust out. And a bust out doesn't mean 35-plus points, but just to look more fluid, get the wide receivers in there, and also understand this. There's no bigger Eagles fan than me. I actually look towards the Rams and say, you know what? McVay is a really good play caller. If you watch the first 2 games the Philadelphia Eagles played, yes, the defense was good. Yes, they won both of those games, and I love it, and I'm hoping they beat the Rams as well. But there is an inefficiency right now at that second outside cornerback position. Now it's one of those games where you go in against the Kansas City Chiefs where they missed a lot of deep shots in that game because Patrick Mahomes was somehow a little bit off. You're not going to get that with Matthew Stafford. And also, it's not Tyquan Thornton beating you deep. It's Puka Nacua, who's unbelievable. It's Devontae Adams, who is unbelievable. That's the matchup I'm looking forward to, which I do think the Rams can try to exploit. Should be a great game in Philadelphia, but for me, I am leaning towards the over, and I do think there's some things that Rams offense can do to frustrate Vic Fangio's defense. And again, even in week number 1, Joe, right against Dallas, CeeDee Lamb, if he just makes a couple simple catches, they light up that Eagles secondary. I'm not saying that the Eagles aren't causing these because sometimes it's better to be lucky and still play good football and win games. I get it. But I do think the Rams can do some things to frustrate the Eagles. We'll find out what happens here. I'll tell you what's frustrating. If you're a Panthers fan out here, your offensive line is banged up. Dave Canales is your head coach. Bryce Young going backwards again at this point. Michael Penix comes to town. That defense should be able to eat, but there's no surprise. 2.5-point lines, Joe. They're now up to 5.5. Total 43.5. Is anybody out there other than, hey, let's just be real sharp, we love the Panthers at home with the points? How do we figure this one?
Yeah, I think we're going to get points here. I'm leaning towards the over in this one here. Now, granted, losing a couple of starting offensive linemen is not great, but both of the guys that will be stepping in are experienced and have been there. So it's not great for Carolina, but it feels like this is a game where, again, in the second half, we might be seeing prevent defense, Donnie. We might see some points on the board that are going to help us get up and over this key number here of 43. 43.5 to me, I think is too light. I could see Atlanta putting up, 24, 28 points alone. I think we can get up and over this one.
Here's how you get scared, Joe, right? Opening line here, I'm just looking at FanDuel, was a -2.5. We're 5.5 across the board right now. The ticket count is heavily skewed, though, in Carolina's direction. So, hey, Atlanta never really plays well on the road, and they might look past this game. That line has gone up 3 points despite more people betting ticket-wise on the Carolina Panthers, and we typically know how that works out. But what are the expectations for Carolina? How are we scoring? Is it like, hey, Bryce, just throw 40 times, we got to evaluate you? Is that simple?
Oh, I think, they're going to be playing from behind, right? I think that's safe to say, which means he's going to have to throw the ball. I think there are some points coming in this game for Bryce Young.
Points. It's coming up next year. It's Tom Vecchio to talk to us and have some fun about NFL action this weekend. Let's get some best bets on the board, people, right here on the early line.
Aaron Rodgers, 2-year stint with the Jets that he'll never want to remember when he goes into the Hall of Fame. He'll just say, please don't mention that. Now he's with Pittsburgh, and he had his best game since Green Bay. Threw 5 touchdowns. Is it 5, right? Am I right about that, Sam? I don't want to screw this up, too. 4 touchdown passes. Yeah, I'm screwed up again. 4 touchdown passes against the New York Jets. Buy or sell, Aaron Rodgers will finish the season as a QB1 in a 12-team league, top 12 fantasy quarterback. Buy or sell.
The cop out here is he stays healthy, yes, right? He'll do it. It's not asking a lot. Top 12. Purdy's already not going to be top 12, right? He's already going to miss this week, probably another week, maybe as much as 5. They've said. So you knock him out there. There'll be other quarterbacks that get hurt, so you knock them out. I don't think he'd ever get top 5, top 6, top 8. But the 9 to 12, I hate to say it, he wasn't bad last year with the Jets. Right? They didn't win games, but he wasn't bad. He had it when he played. He was a good, solid quarterback. He can still sling it. He still can. I'm the first to admit those 4 touchdowns. It wasn't like he had a monster game. A couple of his interceptions were dropped. That should have been picked off there. It seems like he did complete work for touchdowns. A couple of breakdowns by the Jets as well. So I don't see him really as going to win a league for you. But I'm going to buy this if he stays healthy. Hell, just give me 15 games, and I think he can be top 12. So I'll buy this.
I'm going to sell it. Yeah. I mean, games against the Browns and games against the Ravens. And look, I don't know if the Jets defense is as bad as they've showed. If it is, then this may be his best game of the season. So, yeah, I'm going to sell. I think he's on the outside of this looking in.
Fantasy Sports Today. Fridays starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a Football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network, the early line. It's time to bring in some friends here and enjoy our Football Friday just a little bit more. It's Donnie Wrights out. It's Joe and we welcome in Tom Vecchio, a friend of the SportsGrid Network. He's all over the SportsGrid Network. He's a friend of ours as well, Tom. It's a Friday after a profitable Thursday night football game.
Yeah, great game last night. We got some points late. There was a little bit of drama, what have you, but we're set up for a great week of football. I have some props that I love. Some of these props have been on the move since I've been tweeting them out on Wednesday, but I'm ready to roll.
I'll tell you what I do like, too. Again, early in the season, no bye weeks, no 6 teams sit it out here. Full slate, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. By the way, Monday Night Football looks like it could be an absolute banger. But we'll get there on Monday. Today, we want to focus on some things that are going to happen on Sunday. One of those games in Tampa Bay, Tom. Tyrod Taylor is going to get the starting quarterback for the Jets because Justin Fields is down with a concussion, a touchdown or so favorite for Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, that offense, looking to get on track against the New York Jets and continue their winning ways. What do you see in this game? And also maybe an angle for a prop bet.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are the clear favorite team in this one. We spoke about the Bucks the other night. I was on the Bucks money line. Great come from behind win for them, but really, really like Mike Evans in this game. Like really like him so much. I'm going for him for a touchdown. It was plus 155 on Wednesday when I tweeted about it. It's down to plus 120. I've seen plus 110s, minus 105s even in some spots for Mike Evans. But he has a 37% red zone target share this season. He has yet to score a touchdown. He's also not gone 3 games in a row without a touchdown since Baker took over. The Jets also only have 9 quarterback pressures generated this season. And while the Bucs offensive line is really banged up, the lack of pressures that they're generating should allow Baker the time to find Mike Evans. And Baker's also top 10 in the league this year when it comes to EPA per play. So he's moving the ball. They should be able to put up points. And the main guy is Mike Evans. Get him a touchdown.
Like it.
Yeah, some injuries in that secondary, too. Tony Adams, their safety, their nickelback, Michael Carter, very questionable to play. So there could be some injuries in that back of that allow Evans to go off in this game. But the game I'm looking forward to seeing is with the Denver Broncos, who I worry might lose that game against Indy twice here and lose it again this week. That defense is a little bit head-scratching here of Denver, but so is Bo Nix, who seems to be dinking and dunking his way around the field here. What are we going to do in this game?
This is like, on paper, the Broncos defense should be so much better than they are. With Pat Surtain, Nick Bonito, like you have like 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates really on that team, and you're not coming away with wins or not coming away with significant stops. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But on the Chargers side of things, they've allowed the 8th fewest rushing yards per game. They're actually specifically strong against running backs, allowing, rushing yards to QBs doesn't really impress me that much, or doesn't really worry that much, I should say. So ultimately, I don't think Denver's going to be able to move the ball on the ground with Harvey and Dobbins, and this is going to have to be a Bo Nix type of game. We've seen him be very inefficient at times, but I think the passing attempts are where I want to look. So over 32.5 passing attempts for Bo Nix. He went over the summer both times versus the Chargers last season. He's been over it once this year. They got to move the ball, and it's going to be through the air. It's not going to be on the ground versus this tough Chargers defense.
Yeah, it should be a fun one to watch that play out, too. And also take a look at the Denver Broncos. Felt they had a win last week, but had a little bit too much leverage, as we like to say, and ended up with a loss in that one. If we head to Seattle, Seattle's an interesting one this year. Great win last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road after a tough loss at home against the San Francisco 49ers. They're heavily favored against the New Orleans Saints. We should get some points in this game, but again, 41.5 is the total of this game. Let's call it 7.5 as a favorite. Before the season started, I looked at Jackson Smith and Jigman. I think I sent a tweet out that was like, wait a second. 750 yards is his total for a guy that went over 1,000 last year. Now is the guy like, we don't know how Sam Darnold's going to do. He's been fantastic to start this season. No surprise for your boy DRS. How you playing Jackson Smith and Jigba this week versus New Orleans?
You keep it simple. I did consider his touchdown odds were down at plus 115. I don't love that number, but he's yet to score this year, so I can understand going there, but over 73.5 yards. I mean, he has a 44% target share. It's not the highest on the Seahawks. That's the highest in the entire NFL. There's no one on the Seahawks that could or should conceivably take targets away from him. Cooper Kupp's there. Cooper Kupp's a shell of his former self. Let's just call it what it is. He'll get a few targets every game. But when you have JSN that can realistically bring in 13, 11 targets per game, most of them have a high ADOT over 10 yards. We're not talking about, he needs 15 catches to get here. He can get this done in 5 catches. He is the guy on offense. Zach Charbonnet has been limited all week, so the ground game may not be as efficient. And we just saw Mac Jones throw for 279 against the Saints defense. I think we'd all agree Sam Darnold may not be the best quarterback, but he's better than Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Feels like, I'll give the Saints credit too, because Spencer Rattler has been able to be at least a little bit more competent than what we thought he would be with Olave and company there. Feels like we might be getting an over in this game as well. What are you thinking?
I have to think points. The Seattle defense, all right, you start at home week 1. It's a little bit slow. In-division opponent against the 49ers. Sure, what have you. Last week against the Steelers, and I think we'd all agree the Steelers' offense is okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But if you're giving up that many points, but you also can score against what should be a good defense, you should be able to put up points back at home. So if you told me the Seahawks get to 27, 28, I think we're going to get the Seattle team get to Seattle's going to get to 27, 28. The Saints are going to get to 21. I think we'll be on pace for an over in this game.
Let's go, Rattler. Let's go. See what you have here. By the way, 4:25 game on Sunday. Just want your quick opinion. Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears. And it's the makings of we should get an absolute shootout. You look at the 50.5, similar to what we saw last night. We should get points and got them. How are you playing that game with Dallas and Chicago?
I think CeeDee Lamb scores because he gets to score. He's going to pile up a ton of yards. The Bears have struggled against St. Brown last week. They struggled against Jefferson in week 1 to an extent. Yeah. I want to play a live over. I really do. I think the 50, 51.5, whatever might be, is super tough. But if you give me a live over of that 48 number, 47.5, that key number, I'll take it.
Yeah, Dak Prescott throwing multiple touchdowns makes some sense. Even Caleb Williams in this game. It just feels like we're supposed to get both of these teams at least into the mid-20s with a legitimate chance to take down that 50.5 that sits there. And the Cowboys are actually a favorite in this game. He's Tom Vecchio on a Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network. No better place to be. Tom, thanks for joining us on the early line and bringing that energy. We got more football on deck, but next, we're going to talk Major League Baseball. We'll be back after this short break.
There are right now 10 teams who are 0-2. Every team on this list is 0-2. These are the 7 teams through 2 weeks who have already been eliminated from the Super Bowl picture. First, the Cleveland Browns, who I believe were the worst team coming into this season. The Cleveland Browns are absolutely done.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Josh Heupel. I mean, please, dude, you got to be kidding me. How do you lose this game at home when you've got Georgia on the ropes with a iffy quarterback at best there in Gunnard, and you somehow figure out a way to lose that game? A game, Donnie, of which was pretty much in hand for Notre Dame, 3/4 of it.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. It's the most beautiful time of the year. No, not because of foliage or pumpkin spice lattes. It's because of football. SportsGrid has you covered all season long, covering every snap, every score, and every line move. Prepare, watch, win. Weekends are for winners. Only on SportsGrid.
I needed a mental break when the season was over. Because it's a lot. It's a lot. You get tired of training. But, man, I never get tired of playing golf. I love it. I mean, every course is different. Every day is different. And some days you're like, oh, I got this. I got it. Then you go out there and shoot a 95 the next day. Like, damn.
The Smiley Show. Only on SportsGrid.
Coming into focus is the Major League Baseball playoffs, and we're not too far away at this point. What, week and a half or so, if even that? I think next Sunday, I believe, is the last Major League Baseball regular season game. So, in effect, less than a week and a half, but still a lot left to be decided. Yesterday, in our bye segment, half of those two plays went to the New York Mets yesterday on the money line, and they won yesterday 6-1 over the San Diego Padres. The Padres, in fact, didn't even score an earned run in that game. You take a look at the starting pitcher, was Jonah Tong, who's really struggled. Didn't struggle yesterday, Joe. 5 innings pitched, no earned runs. The bullpen was sensational. The bats came alive early to knock out Randy Vasquez, which was my handicap. Things worked perfectly for me and the New York Metropolitans yesterday in that victory.
Yeah, and they needed it. Let's be honest here. Alonso, I think, homered again. I think that's his 4th straight game.
He's crushing.
And he is really crushing it. And more importantly, you got 5 really good innings from the rookie Tong, who had there were a little head scratching why we keep rolling him out there, but he showed some improvement yesterday against the Padres, who now just have, I think, a 4-game lead on the Mets for that number 2 wild card spot. So should be a very interesting week and a half to end the season. Arizona wasn't playing yesterday, so at least the Mets, I think, picked up a half a game there. So now 2 clear of Arizona right now.
I got a hint. Arizona, I think, is going to pick up a win. Don't call me biased. You know the team they're playing? It's the Philadelphia Phillies tonight. Something to keep an eye on maybe for a little bit later in a little bye segment right here. How about this? Bye in Kansas City. 2-0 for the Seattle Mariners. Another victory there as we get that close race that's going to come to a close next week. Who's going to win the AL West? Is it the Houston Astros? Is it the Mariners? They got a great pitching performance yesterday out of Luis Castillo. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs. The bullpen was phenomenal as they shut out the Kansas City Royals at home. And I remember you talking about yesterday. You let Kolek. Not his fault, Joe. 7 1/3,
Nope.
1 earned. Come on, man. That should be a win.
That was a good pitching battle there, and it should have been good enough to win there, but they just, once again, can't get. It's been the problem all year with Kansas City is the lack of offense here. So I believe Mariners now tied with the Astros for first place in the American League West with that win. So again, going to get real interesting here down the stretch.
How about this? You want to lean on your starting pitchers down the stretch. You want your marquee starting pitchers pitching well and into the playoffs. You might be getting that for the New York Yankees. 7-0 victory yesterday over the Baltimore Orioles. You take a look at the Yankees at the plate, 4 of 10 with runners in scoring position. Love to see that. That's 44, batting 400. Only left 6 runners on base, but Max Fried, 18-5 now on the season. 7 innings pitched, 3 hits given up, no earned runs, and 13 strikeouts in only 87 pitches. What a performance out of Max Fried.
Yeah, and he's not a strikeout guy either, but that curveball was falling off a cliff last night there. Yep. So very, very good effort. They were up 2-0 early, top of the first in that game, and kind of never looked back after that, Donnie. So Goldschmidt had a big night for him, which is good to see. So they're going to need to keep it rolling here down the stretch. I don't know that they catch the Blue Jays, but I think they're going to want to continue to play some of their best baseball here heading into the postseason.
By the way, angles like this one we're going to talk about don't always work in your direction, but sometimes you take out the pitching, the hitting, and just say, what makes sense here? Chicago Cubs plated 8 runs in Pittsburgh, clinched a playoff spot, drank champagne, sprayed beer around, smoked cigars, had to get on a plane, probably partied on the plane, and they showed up in Cincinnati against a power pitcher. They got 1 hit in that game. They did not score a run. Joe Ranieri bought into Hunter Green. 9 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 9 strikeouts, and 1 walk. If there was ever a hangover game, that was it yesterday, Joe, and you nailed it.
Yeah, no, he was definitely poised for a bounce back. He did not look good his last start, and boy, oh boy, at home in a game where they had already seen the Mets win, so they knew they had to keep pace. And the Cubs, let's face it, Colin Ray pitched well, but just not well enough, not better than Green, and he got it done for him.
One game we thought would stay under yesterday at the 7.5, Joe, it was out in Los Angeles, and we got exactly that 2-1 final. But you got to, the Giants scoring 1 run, they needed that victory. You can't leave 9 runners on base and go 0 for 7 with runners in scoring position. That's how you get beat 2-1. But a good performance for the Dodgers. Watch out for that Dodgers pitching staff. They are lethal right now, the starters, Joe.
Well, they're going to have to be, too, because that bullpen is atrocious of the Dodgers. Do not trust them at all. But Webb was pretty good. Only gave up 1 earned run, and that was it. That's all they needed for the Dodgers.
Man, how about in just a week's time, we're going to get playoff baseball, people. You love it. But in the meantime, we got hot topics and more in hour number 2 coming up next.